Tom Andrews is the UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Myanmar, and he joins us now live from Washington, D.C. Welcome to TRT World. Great to have you on the programme. Just tell us, who can actually hold the military accountable for this massacre?
Well, ultimately, the people of Myanmar will hold them accountable, but they need the support of the international community, particularly now. The junta needs to understand that what they are doing is not only horrific, but it is illegal, and they are going to be held accountable. And the international community, I believe, needs to step up its pressure significantly on the junta, because if we don't, these types of attacks, which I think reflect desperation by the junta, they've been losing ground, and what they're trying to do is inflict not only heavy losses on families, innocent civilians, and children, but they're trying to strike fear into the hearts of people around the country. I think we're going to see many more of these types of attacks. We've already seen a significant uptick in the use of aerial bombardments and the use of helicopter gunships on civilian populations with incredible casualties. I think we're going to see an increase of that in the days and weeks to come.
And Tom, that is very, very concerning, given that it's not really mentioned that much in the international media. And also, just to look at your tweet, you say that this was enabled by world indifference and also by those supplying the military with weapons. Why is there such world indifference?
That's a very, very good question, and I'm very, very happy that you are focusing on this crisis in your newscast today. We need to see so much more of this. You know, the junta of Myanmar are like mushrooms. They thrive in the darkness. They do everything that they possibly can to make sure that the truth of what's going on inside of Myanmar does not get out. That is why there are many journalists in Myanmar that are in prison right now, that have suffered torture in these prisons right now, precisely for getting the word out, the facts out, the truth out to the world. But, you know, we need to have greater awareness of what's going on in Myanmar. And from that, I hope we will generate greater political will among the nations of the world to take strategic, focused, coordinated action to defend the people of Myanmar.
But Tom, we have seen the world come together. We have seen that united response when it comes to Ukraine over the past year. It can happen for Myanmar, can't it? But what is stopping it?
You know, that is a very good question, and I'm asked that a lot by people in the country. They point to Ukraine in particular. They support very much the people of Ukraine. They're on their side. Of course, the junta is on the side of those who are attacking Ukraine. But they ask me, why is it that such a focused and coordinated approach to the crisis in Ukraine is not followed in the crisis in Myanmar? And I don't have an answer to that. I think what is very important, however, is that we use the blueprint of the response to Ukraine and apply it to Myanmar in this respect: a coordinated, focused, strategic approach. Right now, there are countries that have imposed sanctions of various kinds, have imposed various diplomatic pressure, have imposed stopping the flow of weapons and weapons technology into Myanmar. That's helpful, but it's not coordinated.
Tom, just to interrupt, I mean, you're with the UN. Why don't you push this blueprint of Ukraine through? What could you do yourself? What can the UN do to actually follow that Ukraine blueprint for Myanmar and so many other crises which just seem to have world indifference?
Well, it's a very good question, and I'm doing everything that I can to offer not only information about what's going on in Ukraine, but also recommendations on what the United Nations member states can do. The United Nations is made up of member states, and they have the responsibility and the opportunity to take action that I hope that they will follow. I'll be traveling to Japan, for example, next week. I'll be in Jakarta in Indonesia next month. I'm doing whatever I can to share with world leaders the truth of what's going on, the horror of what's going on inside of Myanmar, and the opportunity for the international community to do something about it. But ultimately, that decision rests in the hands of world leaders.
And it is also people from Myanmar that have fled of course, we report here a lot on what happens in Bangladesh, in Cox's Bazar. What is the impact there of world indifference?
It's just absolutely incredible. I mean, there's the largest refugee encampment in the world is in Bangladesh, and it's made up of nearly 1 million people from Myanmar, principally the Rohingya ethnic minority from Myanmar, who had to run for their lives over the border into Bangladesh and are in very desperate straits. As a matter of fact, with respect to world indifference, there has been a cut in the food rations of those poor, desperate people in Bangladesh because of a lack of international support for them. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of responsibility that we need to seize because there's incredible suffering. And by the way, because of the increasing intensity of these attacks inside of Myanmar, more and more people, tens of thousands of people, are running for the border of Myanmar to cross over outside of Myanmar to save themselves and their families. This is completely unsustainable. We need to address this head on, and I'm hoping that we will soon take action that can help to make a significant difference for the people of Myanmar.
Tom Andrews, UN Special Rapporteur on Myanmar, thank you very much indeed, and good luck with all your work. Thank you.